At Pursuit Church Live, we believe that every person plays a role in God's story to restore beauty to this world. We are people interested in knowing Jesus and actively pursuing ways to integrate our faith into everyday life. Whether you've been a Christian all your life or you're simply exploring the idea, PCL is a place for you to belong. Today I'm talking with Emily Cleaver about the book Love Does by Bob Goff. Love Does teaches us to discover a secretly incredible life in an ordinary world. The secret, of course, is love. Emily, have you ever been with someone who just wanted to be with you?
Yeah, I have actually. I have a friend like this. She's one of my oldest and dearest friends, and I love being with her because it just feels like she wants to be with me. There's no strings attached. I can really let my walls down with her. I feel like I can really be real with her.
Wow, I love hearing that. So, in contrast, have you ever been with someone who just wanted to fix you?
Yeah, unfortunately I have. And with these kind of people, I feel like nothing I do or say is good enough for them. I feel like they're always judging me. They might even criticize things that I do or say. And I feel like I'm being attacked at times.
I think most of us have been around people who make us feel this way. It doesn't feel very loving at all, does it? In our book of the month, Love Does, author Bob Goff opens with a story of how his life was changed when a guy named Randy simply decided to be with him. Instead of making him a project that needed fixing, Bob opens the chapter with these words: "I used to want to fix people, now I just want to be with them." So chapter 1, I'm with you. When I was in high school, I met a guy named Randy. Randy had 3 things I didn't have: a Triumph motorcycle, a beard, and a girlfriend. It just didn't seem fair. I wanted all 3 in ascending order. I asked around and found out Randy didn't even go to the high school. He just hung out there. I had heard about guys like that and figured I should keep my distance, so I did. Later I heard that Randy was a Christian and worked with an outfit called Young Life. I didn't know much about any of that stuff, but it helped explain the beard and made it okay that he was hanging out at high school. I guess Randy never offered me a ride on his motorcycle, but he tried to engage me in discussion about Jesus. I kept him at arm's length, but that didn't seem to chill his interest in finding out who I was and what I was about. I figured maybe he didn't know anyone his age, so we actually became friends. I kept him at arm's length, but that didn't seem to chill his interest in finding out who I was and what I was about. I figured maybe he didn't know anyone his age, so we eventually became friends. I was a lousy student and found out I could take a test to get a certificate that was the equivalent to a high school diploma. My plan was to move to Yosemite and spend my days climbing the massive granite cliffs. At the beginning of my junior year, I decided it was time to leave high school and make the move to Yosemite. More out of courtesy than anything, I swung by Randy's house first thing on Sunday morning to say goodbye and to let him know I was leaving. I knocked on the door, and after a long couple of minutes, Randy answered. He was groggy and bedheaded. I had obviously woke him up. I gave him the rundown on what was going on, and he said, "Hey Bob, would you wait here for a second while I check something out?" No sweat, Randy. I had nothing but time now. What did I care? Randy disappeared for a few minutes into the house while I stood awkwardly on his porch with my hands in my pockets. When he came back to the door, he had a tattered backpack hanging over his shoulder by one frayed strap and a sleeping bag under his other arm. He was focused and direct. All he said was this: "Bob, I'm with you." Something in his words rang right through me. He didn't lecture me about how I was blowing it or throwing the opportunities away by leaving high school. He didn't tell me I was a fool and that my idea would fall off the tracks on the way to the launch pad. He didn't tell me I would surely crater even if I did believe liftoff. He was resolute, unequivocally, and had no agenda. he was with me. As the story continues, we see Randy travel with Bob to Yosemite. They have no place to stay. There was no work, but Randy was with Bob. Randy was also with Bob through Bob's failures, always committed to him, even when Bob's dreams died.
Wow, that's incredible.
It is. Yeah, that isn't even the end of the story.
What happened next?
Well, Bob decides to go back to high school, and so when he drops off Randy at his house, they were met by Randy's girlfriend. And she invited them in. And to Bob's surprise, he found unopened gifts lying around, but he thought, who gets a microwave or a coffee pot for their birthday? That's not an ordinary gift. Then the nickel dropped, and Bob realized that Randy had gotten married. And not only that, it had been the day before Bob had come to his house to say goodbye.
Wow. What we see is that Randy was really a lot like Jesus. He's an example of someone who's ready to lay down their life for another person. This kind of love, it costs us.
Yes, it does. This is not easy. It's not convenient. I personally would have never spent my honeymoon with another person besides my husband, and guess what? No one would have expected me to. But you know what? Randy had no boundaries when it came to loving another person. Love wasn't a feeling, it was a decision he made.
I love that. Love's a decision. And when you say that, it reminds me of Jesus, who would have expected Jesus to die, to lay down his life for other people. At the end of the chapter, Bob Goff says something I think we should all take note of. He writes, I learned that faith isn't about knowing all the right stuff or obeying a list of rules. It's something more costly, because it involves being present and making a sacrifice. Perhaps that's why Jesus is sometimes called Emmanuel, God with us. I think that's what God had in mind, for Jesus to be present, to just be with us. It's also what he has in mind for us when it comes to other people.
I want to be that person. Today's challenge invites us to experience transformation as we seek to love people where they are, for who they are, with no strings attached. In your interaction with friends or loved ones today, refrain from trying to fix them. Instead, offer an encouraging word and withhold your judgments. Choose to love people where they are for who they are. Loving people in this way is one of the first steps in learning how to be love to our community.
Each day of the month, you will find daily challenges like this one that Angela just talked about on Facebook, our app, and our website. We would really love to hear how these challenges are changing the way you live and the way you love. Keep tuned in for more on the book Love Does. Next up on Pursuit Church Live, Angela and I will be talking about how we can interpret our lives through the standpoint of knowing that we are loved by God.